Clifton, Southside, Greenville, North Carolina.
Welcome and thank you for a special show on today that we're having. Today is March 4, 2022, and as we welcome Reginald Speight to Awesome Radio, we thank you, our Awesome Radio listeners, for staying with us all day long. We thank you for your time and attention to our station. You can find us on the radio dial, 106.9 FM. We are also on the apps, all up in the app stores with Google Play, Apple, Alexa, and ask Alexa to play Awesome Radio Winterville, NC. You can also find us on the Roku channel, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you for listening and watching Awesome Radio. On October the 13th, 2021, Reginald Speight was appointed by President Joe Biden as USDA North Carolina Rural Development State Director. Prior to this appointment, Reginald served under the Honorable Congressman G.K. Butterfield of the 1st Congressional District as his district director for nearly a decade. Reginald Speight, welcome and thank you so much for your time being here with us on Awesome Radio today.
Well, good afternoon, my friend, and how are you doing? And pray that all is well to all of those out there in the listening land of Awesome Radio. And I was sharing with my friend here that this is my first radio interview as the newly appointed Rural Development State Director. My first interview was with WOOW here in Pitt County a long time ago. But it is a pleasure for me to be here with you today. And thank you so very much for this opportunity to talk to you and your listeners today.
You're absolutely welcome. And we understand that a lot of media is pulling on you right now, newspaper, TV, radio, and others. But we're honored here at Awesome Radio that you have chosen to be with us on today right now.
Thank you so very much again. And like I said, I look forward to the discussion today.
We have a lot to talk about today, Mr. Reginald Speight, about within this 1 hour, and one being the State of the Union address delivered this week, Tuesday, by our President of the United States, Joe Biden. And we will not be taking calls today, from my understanding, for today's show, because we have so much and we want to stay focused, right?
That's correct.
All right. So, Reginald, we know that you will come back to us on a regular basis to discuss other matters for call-in. So today is just informational and raising important awareness. So before we get to the nitty-gritty, Reginald, tell us more about you without your titles. Who is Reginald Speight and where did you come from?
Well, as I've been telling people since I've started this position, that I may be new to rural development, but I'm not new to rural. And when I say that, I was born a little bit west of here in Pitt County in Farmville, North Carolina. And a lot of the work or whatever that I have done in the past, I lived here in Pitt County for 20 years. I served as the CEO of a community action agency that served Beaufort, Martin, and Pitt counties. And as you've already alluded to, I served with Congressman G.K. Butterfield. And most people know, other than the time that we were serving in Durham in 2012, most of his territory was rural territory. So the issues and the concerns of what have you of rural America, especially rural North Carolina, is not new to me because of some of those things, whatever that I've done. I worked in tobacco fields in Greene County, and I lived in Wilson County. So I worked on the farm with my uncle and my dad on the farm, even all the way through college as I was going to school at UNC Chapel Hill, go Tar Heels. And so as I said, I am not new to rural and the things, whatever that impact rural America, but new to rural development.
All right. Thank you so much for that personal introduction, Reginald. So now, breaking down the USDA North Carolina Rural Development State Director, piece by piece for understanding.
Yes.
What does USDA mean?
USDA stands for the United States Department of Agriculture. And within the United States Department of Agriculture, there are roughly 15, 16 agencies within the United States Department of Agriculture. When you think about farming and you think about commodities, you think about the soil, nutrients, and things that are needed on a farm for products to grow and things to grow, that's USDA. When you think about land and land management and forest management and forestry type things, that's United States Department of Agriculture. When you think about meat processing facilities and poultry farms and egg productions and different things like that, that's United States Department of Agriculture. When you think about resource conservation and energy efficiency type measures or what have you, that's USDA. And rural development is one of those 16 agencies that make up the USDA portfolio of services.
Interesting. Okay. So then what does rural development mean?
Rural development, and let me, if I can explain it and define it and then expand it a little bit to make it a little bit more relevant to our listening audience today. What rural development is designed to do is to improve the economy and the way of life for the rural America. And when I say that in a specific example, I just mentioned where I was born in Farmville, North Carolina. And in Farmville, not that long ago, one of my very first events that I attended, and I was very pleased to be able to be in a groundbreaking ceremony in Farmville for a community center pavilion in Farmville. In conjunction with the Cobb and the Hobbs family that are over there. But the Cobbs and the Hobbs family, they believe in education. They also believe in the arts. They believe in music, what have you. So through rural development, one of the grants that we had for them was to help to assist and to partner with the town and the great mayor over there in Farmville, Mayor Moore. We were able to partner with the town of Farmville and with the Cobb Foundation to be able to construct a community center there in Farmville. Well, that community center is sitting right on Main Street in Farmville, and those who may be familiar with Farmville. Farmville used to be a very, very thriving downtown area. And what we do in rural development, the purpose of that community center not only does it bolster and improve the way of life for the kids who want to go there and individuals who want to go there to gather and to socialize safely in a brand new facility. Because it is close to a downtown area, people who may visit that center to go there for plays or for dramas or what have you, they're in walking distance to a downtown area that can be revitalized. Well, rural development can help do what we call Main Street communities, where we can revitalize downtown, where we can improve the sidewalks, we can improve the facade of the buildings or what have you that are downtown. For some businesses or whatever that may want to relocate to a downtown area, well, we have revenue within rural development that can help a small business to get started in a facility downtown that they can either promote their business or expand their business. We have some things within our rural business cooperative services portfolio. I'd mentioned the community center. That is within our rural housing services portfolio, and that's within our community facilities component. And not to mention that if these businesses are moving to the area and they're starting to expand and doing certain things there, of course, there's going to be some housing that is necessary. So that happens and that can be benefited by our single family housing component, where we not only can do within our rural housing services component. So not only can we construct houses, but we can also do multifamily developments as well. So as I said, rural development is designed to build on the economy, to improve the economy, and to improve the way of life. And so that is just kind of a relevant example that happened right here in Pitt County as it relates to something that rural development can do, and we have done time and time again.
So then for a municipality that has a city, that's not rural, right?
Not necessarily, not necessarily. It depends. We have to look at population sizes or whatever. And as you can imagine, in rural America, there are a lot of that they may call it a city instead of the town of. They may call it a city, but it not necessarily doesn't mean that it is not considered to be rural. For all of our programs within rural development, we have more than 40 programs within our portfolio. Each of those programs within that portfolio have different eligibility requirements, have population requirements. They have median household income requirements or what have you that we'll get into and talk a little bit more about, but not necessarily are you excluded because you're considered to be a quote unquote city. It depends upon certain qualifications and that we have for eligibility criteria.
Okay. So North Carolina includes the entire state of North Carolina with its 100 counties. So, what is your role, Reginald, as the state director, and what are the programs that you named some of them, but what are other programs that you are responsible for?
Well, you're absolutely right. My job is to be the focal person or the front person for rural development. I am considered to be the state executive on behalf of the Secretary of Agriculture and the President of the United States. My job is to represent rural development, to represent the administration, to represent the Secretary in all of our efforts that we have within, like I said, within our portfolio. As you said, I've kind of mentioned some of the programs or what have you that we offer. To repeat, we have over 40 programs that are within our portfolio, most of which, all of which are within a loan grant portfolio. And needless to say, I don't want to insult your listening audience or you being 4 or 5 months into this position. And if I sat here and I told you I'm an expert on 40 plus programs and all the rules and regulations, what have you, you need to run me out of the door right now. But I will say that there are a lot of career staff or what have you who have been with rural development. Rural development is a great place to work. And we have staff who are career staff who have been there 20 plus years. I dare say I had a staff person who retired at the end of last year who put in 45 years with rural development. And so needless to say, we have a lot of expert staff that are there who can help walk a person who is interested or municipality through the process for eligibility and the nuances that are associated with it. I will say that some of the challenges that we have, and when I say that we have, I think the challenges that just individuals who want to engage with us may have, just because a neighboring or contiguous municipality or neighbor even right next door to you is able to engage with us effectively, it doesn't necessarily mean that you will be able to do so, simply because there are nuances and different things or whatever that are different from household to household, municipality to municipality, that may not necessarily apply in your case. And that's why I would encourage people, if you're interested in engaging with rural development, to do so on your individual basis and not bring too much what I call common knowledge to the table, because you may think that you won't qualify or that you don't have an opportunity when actually you do, and you won't know until you investigate with us more thoroughly. To go specifically into some of the programs and just briefly with that in just the broad categories, I alluded to it with my example in Farmville. First, we have our rural housing services component. Within our rural housing services component, we have our single family housing program where we can actually finance and we can build single family housing, where we are the lending institution. There are other programs. We have a direct program with our single family housing that an individual who wants to go to a primary lender, that we're able to do the guarantee of that loan on the back end that could eliminate closing costs and down payment assistance or whatever, that we can do it within our program. Within that portfolio also, we have the multifamily housing component, and most of that component now is orchestrated out of our national office, but we do have the ability to build multifamily projects as well. The project that I mentioned a few moments ago that's in Farmville is within that portfolio, which is considered our community facilities, that people are probably most aware of, because that is the program where we can go and we can build schools and we can build hospitals and police departments and fire stations and fire trucks and police equipment, body cameras, what have you. We can do those things within that portfolio. Then there is the Rural Business Cooperative Services, again, an example that I gave, where we do not replace what the Small Business Administration will do as far as doing the cash flow statements and what businesses need to get started. But we can certainly help with some startup costs with equipment and being able to help to expand your portfolio and being able to hire more staff within the Rural Business Cooperative Services. And then we have our rural utility services component, which is essentially our broadband portfolio. Our water and wastewater programs are within that particular portfolio. Our telecom is within that portfolio. And I say telecom, though we do not build cell towers, but we can certainly do some things about helping to expand the cellular service. So those are the three component areas: rural utility services, rural housing services, rural business cooperative services, and that array of 40 programs that fall within those particular project areas.
You mentioned earlier about loan grant
Yes.
in one breath.
Yes.
So is that loan grant in the same scope, or is there a loan and then there's a grant, or is the loan grant together?
That's a very good question. It depends. Let me just, and I'm not trying to be evasive with the particular answer. With some of our programs, for example, the rural housing services component, or the single family rehab program that I'd mentioned to you, where we can, instead of building a house, a person is in their home and they're interested in some rehabilitative type things that's within the home. There are some health and safety issues that may be there, roof repairs. Maybe a person is of age and they want to age in place. So we can do the ramps, the handicap ramp access. We can do the grab bars in the bathroom. We can do the low step-in showers or what have you to get into a home. Some of the qualifications just in general, speaking of that, is for a person is 62 or older, they're considered to be a senior. And then based on certain income levels, that there may be 100% grant in a program like that. Up to, in the past, it was $7,500 was the grant limit. But now, the grant limit now under this administration, and it's happened within this administration, that grant limit now is up to $10,000 that one can get in a grant. And what a grant means, that it's not paid back. There are some stipulations that you can't move from the home within 3 years or what have you. But we're hopeful that the work that we're doing to the house is going to be there, and that the individual is going to be there, God spare life, that the person will be there for the 3-year duration of that grant life. Within that same program, however, before there was a cap of $20,000, up to $20,000 in loan that could be done to the house to do some of the same things. When you get into roof repairs and you start getting into other kind of cosmetic type things or what have you that happens into a home, sometimes it's starting to get costly. But I will say that individuals who income qualify and have the ability to service a debt can do a loan grant portfolio. A portion of it can be in a grant, the other portion would be on a loan, but that loan stays with the home. And let me reiterate that. The loan stays with the home, not the person that's living there. Then let me explain that. And this is one of the things, whatever we've been talking to the staff about, and sometimes there's a lot of confusion. Once that, we try to make sure that we extend that loan out for an extended period of time so that it makes the payments, the monthly payments, more palatable for low-income residents. Well, if that individual passes away, and no other resident or no other family member knows that there is a loan there is going to be a loan that is showing up on a lien on that house. Okay. And so the thing that we have talked about, and since I have been here at Rural Development, is to please, as we are engaging with senior citizens especially, and any other individuals for that matter, if we go into that loan portfolio, if we're not able to just do it within a grant and we go within that loan portfolio, please have another family member there who knows about it, a son or daughter, a granddaughter, grandson, a niece, nephew, what have you, to be there so that they know what grandma, granddaddy, whomever has done, so that they'll know in the time that when they transition in life, when they transition, that someone knows that there is something that is going on there with USDA, that property is not free and clear to do whatever you choose to do with it. So that is important to know. So that's why what we try to do is to make sure that we communicate effectively what all the options are up to a certain dollar amount, which is a grant. And then if there are other things that need to be done there in the home that go into that loan portfolio, that we explain well enough that people understand that this is something that stays for the life of the loan. Now, there is no penalty for early payoff. There's no penalty for that. But when we stretch something out for 30 years, and we get in the payment range of like $45, $50 a month, once again, to make it economical to be paid back, but it stays there through the life of the dwelling, not the life of the individual who initiated the loan.
So then the loan should be written in the individual's name and then maybe another family member in case something happens to that home person?
Well, it's going to go through whose name is on the deed. So if that deed is listed in a certain individual's name, we just want to make sure another family member is aware of what they're doing with that particular property.
Then who would be responsible for the repayment if that
The
person were to
family would
pass
be,
away.
because then that
Okay.
property would be whoever it is that's going to be that the property is left to.
Mhm.
We're hopeful and prayerful that individuals have living wills, and we know what's clear with that. But then you start getting into the heir property sometimes, and then that's different. But it's just to be aware that to do something with that property when the individual passes away, if that lien is still there,
Mhm.
that has to be satisfied with USDA as you move forward.
How can people get in touch with you, Reginald?
Let me give you my contact information now, and certainly for those of you in the listening audience, if you need it, certainly Miss Akela and Awesome Radio will know how to find me once our interview concludes today. But you can reach me via email at reginald.speight, which is REGINALD .Speight. I'm here in Eastern North Carolina. Most people know how to spell Speight, but I'm going to spell it for you anyway. That's S as in Samuel, P as in Paul, E as in Edward, I as in Ida, G as in George, H as in Henry, T as in Thomas. That's Reginald.Speight at USDA.gov. Reginald.Speight at USDA.gov, and my cell phone number. Yes, listening audience, I'm going to give you my cell number because I want to hear from you. If you have any issues of concern or you want to engage with rural development, that way you can find me, because as my good friend Ms. Akela has already said, I cover 100 counties, and so needless to say, I'm not stationary too often. So my cell phone number is area code 919-939-0314. 919-939-0314.
All right. So this is how people can get in touch with you concerning their rural development with the housing, utility, and broadband.
Absolutely. And as I said, I do not have any issues of concern. We do have area offices. We do have sub-area offices situated throughout the state. But needless to say, those offices are not located in every county. So if you're already working with and you're already having some conversations with and contact with your local area office or a sub-area office, please don't hesitate to continue to do so. However, if you want to talk to the quote unquote boss, give me a call or send me an email. I'll be happy to talk to you with the understanding, as I have already said, I am not the expert in the program of the programs, what have you, but I will certainly make sure that we'll get an answer for you and get a response to you for whatever your need may be.
What are the most common concerns when speaking with people in the rural areas?
Well, I will say to you, and as I said, I'm new to rural development, but I'm not new to rural. And one of the things and one of the issues of concern are people feeling that they have been left behind. Rural areas are very, very important to what we do and how we do things and what have you. And one of the things that I have shared and what I've shared during my vetting process, even with the administration and the White House, rural America doesn't mind being a less than an urban area. They don't mind having less traffic. They don't mind having less population. They don't mind even having less resources necessarily in the area. The challenge with rural America and what has happened with rural America, less than has started to equal zero. So they don't mind having less broadband, but the challenge is they don't have any broadband. They don't mind having less grocery stores. They don't have any grocery stores. Some don't have grocery stores within 20 miles. They don't mind having less healthcare facilities. Some areas don't have healthcare facilities at all. They don't mind having less first responders. Some rural areas are sharing police departments and sheriff departments or what have you, which makes it a little bit cumbersome for you to have a quality way of life. And one of the things that we have to be concerned about is intentional in our efforts. And what I like to say, and when I'm talking to people as I've been traveling around, to get the unusual suspects to the table, get the unusual people to the table who have not been able to adequately or effectively engage with rural development over the years for whatever reason. For whatever the reason may be. But less than shouldn't equal zero. And we need to do something to change that equation. And as I said, to be equitable in the things that we do, as the president mentioned the other night in this State of the Union, for equity and fairness, to be able to be equitable and fair, and to give people opportunities to engage with us. And if we do that in a deliberate fashion, what you will hear about and what you will see is you hear more and more about rural development in this administration. You'll hear about diversity, you'll hear equity, you'll hear inclusion, and you'll hear accessibility and access to our programs, and equitable access and equitable opportunities with our programs. And those are the things of whatever that people want to see, and they're expecting from us and from this particular this administration. And
Well, that segues us into the equity program.
Absolutely.
So continue on with that.
Absolutely. Well, our equity project, myself and my colleagues throughout the state, the other state directors and acting state directors throughout the state, as the state directors are coming on board, we have been challenged to conduct what we call an equity project and to examine an equity project. And I will briefly explain that to you. Some of you may be aware that there are certain things called persistent poverty counties throughout this country. Persistent poverty counties. Persistent poverty counties are defined as a county that has had a 20% or higher rate of poverty for the last 30 years. Now, I want you to think about that. The annual poverty rate right this moment, or the average poverty rate right this moment in this country, is 13%. A persistent poverty county has been at 20% or higher for the last 30 years. Now, we just finished the census, 2020 census, and I can tell you that in the state of North Carolina, there are more counties that are falling into those persistent poverty county categories. Friends, my listening audience, I can tell you that in the 2010 census, Pitt County was a persistent poverty county.
Get out.
Yes, indeed. When you think about it, those of you who know the landscape of this territory, you think about your Greenvilles, you think about your Wintervilles. But then let's travel further north. You have your Belvoir, you have Bethel.
Yeah.
Let's travel west. You have Stokes. Let's travel south. You have Ayden, you have Grifton. Let's travel west. You have Farmville, Fountain, Falkland. Think about those territories in conjunction with a Greenville and a Winterville. That's where you find persistent poverty. And so when you think about those things, we look at it, and we've looked at that within some of these persistent poverty counties, when we do what we call an overlay, and what an overlay is a technical term for us in USDA, when we look at a particular county and we go in and look at the eligibility for those projects that I mentioned to you, those 40 plus projects, and it will tell us what areas are eligible and what areas are ineligible. We have done a deep dive to look at those particular census tracts, is the way we look at it. And we've done a deep dive to look at it and to see and to notice that some of those census tracts, though they may qualify for everything that we do within rural development, have not engaged with rural development for 5+ years. And we're trying to do a deep dive to determine, why is that the case? Is it because of restrictions as it relates to policies, rules, regulations that are born within rural development? Is it because of local issues? And when I say local issues, as I've already shared about rural America and some of the things that happen in rural America, let's face it, some of the municipalities that are there, their town administrators, their mayors, their the individuals who are there who are charged to run the town are part-time employees, sometimes at best. So therefore, they do not have the capacity to adequately engage with us, to adequately pull together applications and what have you. And the thing that we are not able to do very effectively with rural development is to build capacity for individuals to be able to effectively get to the starting line with us. We're not talking about the finish line yet, but to get to the starting line. And so as we're looking at these things and we're looking at this deep dive, we want to be intentional. If we're looking at and we're examining persistent poverty counties, census tracts in persistent poverty counties that have not had any rural investment over the last 5 years, our challenge and our goal, our effort, my goal is to change that paradigm and to change that investments happen in those areas. And so I thank you for bringing that up. And so though my charge is to travel throughout the state, to do everything I can to adequately have conversations in all 100 counties, the persistent poverty counties in the state are going to get extra attention, not exclusive attention, but extra attention in this administration. And as we go out and as we are talking about our programs and trying to deploy our programs in these persistent poverty counties.
Have you been able to reach all 100 counties since your appointment?
No, Ms. Akela, I've only been around 5 months, so I'm only messing with you. No, I have not had a chance to do that yet. But now let me say this. I absolutely, positively will be in your area soon, listening audience, if I'm not there yet. But I will say that I probably, in the 5 months that I've been here, I probably have had some touches in about 20 counties so far. Certainly, during my appointed time that I'm going to get to every county. And as you can well imagine, there are some counties or whatever that are better off than others. There is nothing wrong with that. There isn't anything wrong with, and as I've already alluded to, in rural America, they're not interested in being too urbanized. However, we want to make sure that there are certain basic things or what have you that rural America does have if they're interested in it. And if we're able to make it happen and make it happen in a reasonable and an affordable way, going back to your conversation about loan grant portfolio, there are a lot of different nuances of things or whatever that we have to talk about. And as best we can figure out a way to make it more palatable for engagement with us. But my answer to you in short is, I promise you I'll be into all 100 counties, hopefully by the next time we talk. And so as I promised that I will come back, as you mentioned, but hopefully by that time I'll be in all 100 counties. But certainly that is my goal and that is my intention.
Well, all right then. So we're going to pause to take a station identification break right now while Reginald gather his thoughts, drink a little water, and we shift to the second half of today's show. We want to thank our partners for making this show possible. And first of all, we want to thank our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for making this possible, because without him, there will be no awesome radio. Also, we would like to thank CT Cleaning Services, 919-345-5823, nationally certified and bonded for COVID cleaning, commercial and residential, and all general cleaning as well. That's CT Cleaning Service. Also, Blessed Hands Car Wash and Detail Plus. The number is 252-413-0609. Vehicle inspections, U-Haul rentals, spick and span, hand cleaned car wash. That's the Blessed Hands way. Also, we would like to thank the Insurance Gap. Fill in the gap of your insurance needs. 252-367-8359. Let's talk insurance with Tissany. Paint Strokes Paint Party Center, 252-410-1515, and ask for Angela. Let the Paint Stroke Paint Party bring out the creativeness in you. Rehabify. Now, you talked about some Rehabify homes. So there's a business called Rehabify where they buy as is, no questions asked. That's 252-864-1000 Rehabify. The Notary, the Rotary Notary, a full service notary on wheels, 252-365-4357. iMailify, the new way to do mail. You can visit their website at iMailify.com. Pro Clean Executive Cleaning Services, 252-345-4345. Open 7 days a week for your cleaning need. Get that towel, that hardwood, and laminate flooring. The Breakfast Bar, not just a restaurant, but it's a breakfast and brunch for the soul. Comfort food, chicken and waffles, shrimp and grits. 252-565-8310. And a Special Place Home Care, where a Special Place Home Care strives to keep you in your own home by assisting you with personal needs. 252-228-8310. 4306. Thank you so much for listening to Awesome Radio. You can find us on the web at wbisawesomeradio.org. We are broadcasting live now on all social media sites. And two, we're on the Roku channel, Facebook, and YouTube. We're 106.9 on your FM dial. Visit our mobile apps at the Google Play Store, Apple, and Alexa. Just say, Alexa, play Awesome Radio, Winterville, NC. Today's special show is with my guest, Reginald Speight. He is the USDA, that stands for United States Department of Agriculture. Is that right?
That is
all right. And he is in charge of the North Carolina, all of North Carolina, the Rural Development State Director. That is who Reginald Speight is. And thank you again, Reginald, for being with us here at Awesome Radio. So we're going to shift our gears now, and we're going to talk about the president's State of the Union address that he delivered. Yep, your mic is hot. On Tuesday, the president talked about the Russian war on Ukraine. He talked about COVID-19, the pandemic, the vaccine, and the recovery for the nation, the $2 trillion tax cut from previous administration to now the American Rescue Plan with the Biden-Harris administration, electric vehicles, charging stations, and creating clean water to drink, affordable high-speed internet for every American, urban, suburban, rural, and tribal communities, fixing highways and bridges that are in despair, fighting inflation, the right to vote for all Americans, and the list continues. This was addressed and other things in the State of the Union address by President Joe Biden on Tuesday, March 1st. So, Reginald, what is that you would like to reiterate about the State of the Union address?
Well, let me say first and foremost, and not surprising to me and probably your listening audience, you did your homework, I see. And so I thank you for that. And that at least you know some of the substance or the content of the things, whatever I'm about to mention to you. A couple of things that I would like to reiterate that resonated with me, and I believe with the listening audience of the State of the Union, of building from the bottom up and the middle out, and explaining that specifically, that we need to grow the middle class. And as we grow the middle class, we believe that that is going to be a ladder of opportunity for low-income individuals. We talk about and how that works within actually what we do within rural development. I mentioned our rural business cooperative services portfolio for entrepreneurs and individuals to be able to grow wealth. In rural America, we have the opportunity to start businesses, and those small businesses that have been started have the ability to hire people. That's how we grow wealth. That's how we do things or whatever in rural America. We find a niche of something that has not been fulfilled and figure out how to become a part of a supply chain of a larger industry, how to become a supply chain of another business that has been created so that we can repurpose either goods or products or whatever and become a supplier of those small businesses or what have you. So building from the bottom up and then the middle out. We believe in that if we can get a prosperous and an expanded middle class and that ladder of opportunity for low income individuals, whatever, people at the top part of the chain or the ladder, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine and they're going to still do okay. That we need to do more to expand the middle class so that those who are closest to that in low income communities or whatever, or experiencing poverty, that they have an opportunity for a ladder of opportunity. You already mentioned it, and just to expand upon the affordable high-speed internet. We talked about it, and I mentioned it before about the less than equaling zero a lot in rural America. We have to do a better job. If nothing else in the pandemic that we learned, broadband is the new electricity. We don't talk about it, whether we put electricity or plumbing in a brand new facility. We need to start, broadband needs to be a part of that conversation as well. That we don't question whether or not we open the doors of a school, that we open the doors of a home even, or give the keys to a homeowner without knowing whether or not there is accessible, fast, and a reliable and affordable broadband that's going into that particular location. So we need to do a better job about that. I spoke about it a few moments ago in rural America, where they share emergency responders, fund the police, not defund the police, but fund the police. There is not a scenario that this administration has looked at where we're talking about defunding the police department. You will find within our rural development portfolio, specifically when our community facilities, our bread and butter, fire stations and police departments. That's our bread and butter within community facilities, to be able to build facilities and have those facilities to be as up to date with the infrastructure and with the technology as possible, so that those who are out care of us have the most up-to-date equipment, having police vehicles or whatever that are reliable. We think sometimes, I don't think that we take the time to think about the fact, just as we have car problems with an older vehicle, so do fire stations, so do police departments. If their inventory ages, they're going to have the same problems with their vehicle that we will have with ours. We need to do everything that we can to make sure that they have the funding that is available to continue to provide the care and concern that they have been providing in a different community. So fund the police, not defund the police, and then to make sure that we do as much as we can to expand our affordable housing portfolio.
I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench in there.
Uh-oh,
I'm gonna be the
here we
devil
go right
advocate
ahead now.
right here.
Maybe the angel's advocate. How about that? Go right ahead.
So then someone might be saying the police department and other government agencies have federal funding, but me as an individual, if my car breaks down, I don't have federal funding. I have to depend on my job, my income that I get on a regular middle class basis. So big deal about not having up to date vehicles for our government agencies.
Understand. I believe your question in that is, where does your help come from? Okay. All right. Good enough. All right. Sounds good. So let me say to you that this administration and the president and you have mentioned it before, and you talked about some of the tax breaks and the tax cuts or whatever that may have gone on previously. But then you talked about the American Rescue Plan and dollars that have been allocated by this administration. We talk about the CARES Act and some of the monies or whatever that went out during this administration as well. This president realizes that there are people that are out there that are hurting. And let me say to you that when you're in the midst of a pandemic, and you're coming out of a pandemic, and thankfully we're crawling out of that pandemic. As we're crawling out of that pandemic, I think that we can certainly have conversations around, we can even debate what the remedy is and what is the actual solution to recovery. The thing that I think that we all can come to an agreement on, though, is that recovery takes time. And there is not an exact recipe for what that recovery looks like and what the tools are necessary for that recovery. But I will say that for those individuals that are out there that are struggling and that they are wondering, what is your government doing for you? I will say to you that rural development, that USDA, that the broad range of the things, of the services that are out there through the different federal government programs, the increase of the SNAP availability, the food stamp program, the clean drinking water that we have talked about, the affordable housing that, is a proven thing that if you are living in substandard housing, that sometimes your house may be making you not feel well because of the different things that are in there, because of the indoor air quality. So there are things that can help to promote your well-being, your health care, and having rural hospitals in place and the funding that goes to those hospitals. And so there may not be a direct line of revenue going particularly to a family or to a household. There are things that are happening in your community of revenue that is going out that can help you to be able to matriculate better, either in the work world or in the education setting or what have you, that then you have that same ladder of opportunity to be able to be healthy enough, well enough to be able to do some of the things, whatever, to promote and to better your standing and to better your home environment and your home living.
Now, for the record, I want everyone to know that I am in support of funding the police, and I do support leadership.
Absolutely.
I do support leadership.
Absolutely.
So whatever our leader right now, the president of the United States, wants to do, whether in favor or no favor, I support leadership, and I do support funding the police.
Absolutely. 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 But thank you for that question. And as we said, and as you've said, that is a relevant point. And the thing that we have to be willing to do one with another is sit down and reason together,
Mhm.
and being able to sit across the table the same way you and I are right this moment, listening world. Now we're socially distanced, but same way that we are right this moment, listening world, to be able to sit down and talk about some of the things and some of the challenges, and let's talk about them honestly, because quite honestly, if we don't have those conversations, we can't get better at what we do and how we do it. And I don't mean just the government, but I mean just as a people and as we communicate and as we engage with each other.
Our president is in support of increased support for HBCUs, and that's incredibly awesome. He wants us to invest in what our First Lady, Jill Biden, who teaches full time, calls America's best kept secret, and that is community colleges. What are community colleges? Why are community colleges considered America's best kept secret?
Well, I tell you, that is a little bit outside of my purview. However, I certainly would like to take a shot at answering that, and let me wrap it around a personal experience, if I may. But let me give everyone in the listening audience a spoiler alert. The president and the first lady, they're absolutely right. So let me say that my daughter, I only have one child, my daughter, she struggled when she was in school, all the way up through high school even. We got her through her end of grade tests, and she was able to retain information enough to be able to pass tests, so she didn't miss a grade. But she struggled, and we didn't quite understand what was going on. And it wasn't until later that we determined that she was on the autism spectrum, that she has Asperger's. Mild case of it, but that she has Asperger's. Well, we lived here in Pitt County, as I said earlier in this conversation, and we were living here. We lived here for 20 years, and she was not going to be able to matriculate at a four-year university. That was impossible. That was not anything that was remotely possible coming out of high school. Well, Pitt Community College, and I'm going to give a shameless shout out to my friends over there, Dr. Rouse and Ernest Lee and Jasmine Spain. You're doing a wonderful job over there. I'm going to give a shameless shout out to them. But Pitt Community College was there for my daughter to be able to wrap around their student support services and student success services around her, that gave her more opportunity and more time to be able to finish her assignments, finish her tests, or what have you, that she could excel there. Well, in the midst of that, we transitioned to Wilson. We moved to Wilson physically, but then we explored Wilson Community College. So her coursework and her hours from Pitt Community College transferred to Wilson Community College. And I'm happy to say that not only did she do well at Wilson Community College, she was inducted into the Honor Society there in the Sigma Alpha Pi National Honor Society, and did well enough at the community college to then transition to Barton College with scholarships. And she completed her coursework there. And I'm happy to say that she is now working for Wilson County government as a librarian, and she is about to pursue her master's in library science and her PhD in library sciences, so that she can then work at a community college library or college library campus.
That is
I
totally
said that
awesome.
to say that it works. Not everyone is ready to go to a four-year college or university. The best kept secret is the certificate programs that they have, the different short-term type programs that they have that can get you into gainful employment, meaningful employment, that you don't have to get to a college campus immediately, because quite honestly, some people will be consumed by going to a four-year university. Not everyone is ready for that. And I can't be in the hills or in the shadows of East Carolina University without giving a shout out there too, for being an outstanding university and very well known in Eastern North Carolina. So I say that to say that the best kept secret for the community college system is they will meet you where you are and take you where you want to go. Okay, that's what I will say about the community college system. And so if it is indeed the best kept secret, but just know secrets are meant to be revealed. And I say explore your community college system, because as I said, they will get you where you need to go.
All right now. So we have about 11 minutes left in today's show, Reginald. Is there anything that you would like to refocus on before we end it out? I want to give you plenty enough time to talk about it.
Well, again, I want to thank you for this opportunity, Akela. Like I said, I am delighted, and I feel it to be an honor that this is my first radio interview since my tenure here as the Rural Development Director. And if I can just leave you with anything, and as I said, we're in challenging times, and the challenging times that we're in The president said it at the State of the Union, and I believe it wholeheartedly, that we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. As I said a few moments ago, the recipe for recovery can be discussed, can be bandied about and debated, but recovery takes time. And sometimes in a recovery, you feel worse before you feel better. That is not to make light of any of the circumstance or any of the things or whatever that any individual is going through or feeling the pinch on personally. But we are resilient. We have been resilient. We are resilient people. And when I say a resilient people, I'm talking about this country. I'm talking about this nation. I'm talking about you and me. I'm talking about our neighbors. We are resilient. And when we look back on it and we look back on all of the challenges or whatever that we have encountered, either professionally or personally, we have taken those challenges and we've made those challenges and turned them into opportunities. And there isn't any reason why we can't do that now. And so I wanted to just say, and just to leave with everyone, that as we are coming out of this pandemic, and I'm believing that those days are behind us of masking and social distancing. And so not saying that we are to be any less careful. We need to continue to be careful and to be careful for one another and about one another. But as people are coming more and more out, I'm delighted to be able to sit here with you face to face, as I've already said, because it has been a while since we've been able to sit with each other and sit down and talk face to face. And that reminds me that we are better together. That isolation or what have you, it works for some people and it works for them for a while. But we are a lot better when we can sit and we can commune and we can fellowship and we can gather and we can socialize face to face one with another. So we are better together. And I will say, as we say in rural development, not only are we better together, America prospers.
All right. 8 minutes left in today's show. Thank you so much for listening to Awesome Radio. Thank you, Mr. Reginald Speight, USDA North Carolina Rural Development State Director, for spending this time with us on today. And we look forward to you coming back real soon. So
Sounds good.
Give your information out again. It's just in case someone missed it. They missed or transposed a number and they need to contact you because they're in a rural system situation.
Absolutely. Once again, Rural America, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I promise to come back soon and to take your questions. And I thank you so very much for listening in to Awesome Radio. The station and the management and ownership are just as awesome as the radio station itself. So I want to thank you again for taking time to listen to me. Once again, it is Reginald, REGINALD That's S as in Samuel, P as in Paul, E as in Edward, I as in Ida, G as in George, H as in Henry, T as in Thomas. So that's Reginald.Speight at U as in uncle, S as in Sam. That wasn't intentional. U as in uncle, S as in Sam, D as in David, A as in Adam.gov, G as in George, O as in Oscar, V as in Victory. Reginald.Speight at USDA.gov.
And your phone number.
My cell phone number, one more time for all who are listening today. My cell phone number is area code 919-939-0314. That's 919-939-0314.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead on and say my closing remarks now, just in case we don't have enough time. And then if we do have some more time, we'll come back and just reiterate some more stuff. All right. Now, thank you, Reginald Speight, again, for your time today, sharing with us important information and raising awareness from the White House in Washington, D.C. to our homes in rural North Carolina and surrounding towns and cities of North Carolina. My name is Akela Thigpen, and we thank you, Awesome Radio, so much for your listeners and your listenership and your viewership. You can watch the replay of this show and everything else that we do here on Awesome Radio on our Awesome Radio Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and a video copy of this show will be posted on our website, real soon under VOD. That's videos on demand at WBISAwesomeRadio.org. We pray, our listening audience, that you have gotten a lot out of this special show today with our very special guest, Reginald Speight, the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, North Carolina Rural Development State Director, appointed by our President Joe Biden. God bless you, and we'll see you the next time. We're Awesome Radio 106.9. So we do have about 5 minutes left. I wanted to get all of that out before we ran out of time, Reginald. All righty now. So the counties that you have visited so far in North Carolina, how well receptive were they to you that you're there to help them?
Well, that is another really good question, Akela, and as I have shared, typically when I go places, and as I said, the thing that is interesting to me now, as I said on one of our calls with the Secretary's office in the White House not that long ago, I don't know if it's because of the pandemic and people are just glad to be outside and being able to see people face to face, or if they know that rural development has a pretty big pocketbook. I'm not sure which one it is exactly, which one it is exactly, but people have been very kind and been very cordial for me to go out and to see them. And a case in point, we have received an announcement in our office the week before Christmas, as a matter of fact, of a pretty large investment in our Community Connect program. The Community Connect program is broadband deployment. And our public information officer, USDA, Rob Kearns, I'll give him a shout out because I know that he is somewhere behind the scenes listening to me here. But I wanted to give him a shout out. But a public information officer reached out to a couple of the recipients to see if they will be willing to accommodate a meeting the week of Christmas for me to come out and to do an announcement and to have an event to talk about rural broadband or broadband deployment that was going to be happening in Clinton, North Carolina, and in the Lumberton area of North Carolina. And to our surprise, not only were they resoundingly receptive to the idea, there were probably, between the two events, there were probably 100 people who came out, as I said, the week before Christmas, including representatives from the congressional delegation who came out to join us, to be there with us as we made this announcement, because they know how important it is. And it is important that the leadership in the communities, what have you, that they not only highlight the things that they do, but that they make sure that the people who have put them in office to be in charge of their care and the stewards over their well-being, that they are doing something on their behalf. And I was appreciative of the fact that such short notice, and I mean literally in a day or two's notice, they pulled together everything from the background to where we were going to meet, to all of the people who were in the room, to spacing requirements, to all the things that we needed to do, tents and heaters or what have you that we needed, because we met outside, and to have all of those things in place for us on very short notice. And I think that it was an outstanding and resounding success, so much so both of those communities about to come to us again for additional revenue to expand broadband even further. So, as I said, I will say that so far I've been received very well. I get it that people are hurting, and I get it that as I said, some of you can see me, you see my suit and my tie, and I tell people, don't let my garb trick you now. I'm a country boy, and this country boy understands what's happening in rural America. And so when I show up, just know that my purpose of showing up there and to be there with you is for the betterment of your betterment and for the people that you've been called to serve.
919-939-0314 is the number where you can reach the State Director, North Carolina USDA Rural Development person. His name is Reginald Speight. The email address is reginald.speight@usda.gov. So his number again, 919-939-0314. This is not his office number. This is his cell number. Do you receive text there?
I do. I do. Absolutely. I want to be, and please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. This is not anything against any previous state director, because I can't tell you what their processes, protocols, what have you, may have been. But I can tell you that my job is to serve the state of North Carolina.
Mhm.
And as for me, in order for me to be able to serve the state of North Carolina and the conversations that I've had up the chain and down the chain, I understand that people like to see people face to face.
Yeah.
They, Zoom is fine, WebEx is fine, and there is nothing wrong with that. Telephone call is fine.
Mhm.
But sometimes someone needs to see the person or what have you that is representing them. And I have no problems whatsoever. If it is an individual who wants to see me, I will be there. If you want to welcome me in your home or stand outside in the yard as we're getting to this time.
We have 10 seconds left in today's show. I want to give a personal shout out to Congressman G.K. Butterfield. All right, for a fine job you've done. So this is Awesome Radio. Thank you again, Reginald Speight. We'll see you the next time, people.